I lay on the delivery bed, contractions coming in stronger and stronger waves. My husband Lin Chun held my hand, his gaze so tender it could drip water. Hang in there a little longer, Ching Chung. Soon we'll meet our baby. I was drenched in sweat from the pain, yet I still managed to smile for him, until a nurse walked in with a syringe. I thought it was the anesthetic for an epidural, but Lin Chun suddenly released my hand and stepped back. The moment the needle pierced my skin, I heard Lin Chun say, "Adjust the dosage accurately. She must not go into labor until Su-won has given birth." I stared at him wide-eyed, but he just looked down at his watch. Su-won's at 6 centimeters dilated. Just need to hold off for another 2 hours. I wanted to scream, to struggle, but the drug had already been injected. The violent contractions in my abdomen were suddenly seized by an invisible hand. They stopped abruptly. I was pushed into a temporary cell converted from the hospital basement. Lin Chen's sister Lin Shi stood at the door, idly playing with a scalpel. "Sister-in-law, don't blame my brother. The child Su-won is carrying is my eldest brother's posthumous child, the first grandson of our Lin generation. Even if you give birth earlier, it'll only be a daughter. Useless." I clutched my belly. A new wave of contractions was battling against the drugs. The pain blackened my vision. "Call a doctor. I'm about to give birth." Lin Shi laughed. She walked in, squatted in front of me, and gently tapped my face with the scalpel. "Give birth to what? The drug's effect will last another 3 hours. Su-won's already in the delivery room. You just wait obediently here. Once her son is born safely, you can give birth however you want." She stood up and instructed the bodyguards at the door. "Watch her. If she dares to shout, gag her." The door closed. The basement had only one dim emergency light. I lay on the floor, the blood beneath me already soaking my dress. Lin Chun had taken my phone when we entered the hospital. He said it had radiation bad for the baby. Now I realize he was afraid I'd contact the outside. I curled up trying deep breaths to ease the pain. But my mind was filled with Lin Chen's eyes from moments ago. Cold, calculating, looking at me like an object. Not like a wife, not like a woman about to bear his child. 3 months ago, his eldest brother died in a car accident, leaving behind his pregnant widow, Su-won, 3 months along. At the funeral, old Master Lin, tears streaming, grasped Su-won's hand and said, "You must carry this child safely to term. The Lin lineage cannot end." I actually felt sorry for Su-won then and volunteered, "Dad, don't worry. The child Lin Chun and I have will also be filial to you." The old master glanced at me but said nothing. It turns out from that moment on my child had already been abandoned. Another contraction hit, more violent than before. The drug was wearing off, the baby was coming. I clawed at the door, pounding with all my might. "Someone! I'm giving birth. Save my baby." Dead silence outside the door. Until, hoarse from shouting, I heard the bodyguard's impatient voice. "What's all the noise? Miss Lin said to wait." "But the baby. If it dies, it's fate. Blame your useless womb for not carrying a son." I collapsed to the floor, my whole body cold. Not fate. Someone wanted my child dead. I don't know how long I endured in that basement. The bleeding increased. The ground beneath me was soaked. As consciousness began to fade, the door suddenly opened. It wasn't Lin Shi, nor a bodyguard. It was the family doctor, Dr. Chun. Seeing my state, his face instantly turned white. "Mrs. Lin? What are you doing here? Didn't Mr. Lin say you were resting in the VIP ward?" I tried to speak but no sound came out. I could only point to my belly, tears streaming uncontrollably. Dr. Chun rushed over, knelt down and examined me. The moment his hand touched my belly, he gasped. "The cervix is fully dilated. The waters have broken. Immediate surgery is needed." He tried to lift me, but as soon as I moved, a gush of warmth flowed from my lower body. Blood. A massive amount of blood. Dr. Chen's hands trembled. He shouted towards the door. "Someone! Quick! The mother is hemorrhaging." The corridor was empty. This private hospital was funded by the Lin family. Tonight, for Su-won's delivery, they had cleared the premises. All medical staff were on standby in the third-floor delivery room. Dr. Chun pulled out his phone to call for help, only to find there was no signal in the basement. "I'll carry you up. Hold on." Gritting his teeth, he lifted me and stumbled out. The stairs were long, each step an agony. I could feel the baby descending, but it just wouldn't come out. The drugs were still partially working. Contractions were intermittent. This was the most dangerous state. Dr. Chun. I grasped his collar, my breath faint. Save the baby, please. Don't talk nonsense. You'll both be fine. He finally burst onto the first floor and ran towards the operating room. But at the door we both froze. The operating room door was wide open. Inside it was empty. The surgical light was gone. The operating table was gone. The monitors, oxygen machines, all medical equipment gone. Just an empty room, and a few power sockets on the wall. Dr. Chun stood frozen. I heard a choking sound from his throat, as if someone had him by the neck. How can this be? I checked the equipment this afternoon. Footsteps echoed from the end of the corridor. Lin Shi, accompanied by 2 nurses, walked over. Seeing us, she raised an eyebrow. Dr. Chun, what are you doing here? Suwon is in the 3rd floor delivery room. Why are you down here? Pointing at the empty operating room, Dr. Chen's voice shook. The equipment? Where did all the operating room equipment go? Lin Shi looked innocent. Moved it to the 3rd floor. Suwon is having a C-section. She needs the best equipment. What if there's an emergency? A regular operating room just isn't enough. Her gaze fell on me as she spoke, and she smiled. Sister-in-law, are you about to give birth? Well, you'll have to wait. Suwon's not finished yet upstairs. Just hold on a bit longer. I looked at her perfectly made-up face. Suddenly remembered 6 months ago. Her linking arms with me while shopping, saying sweetly, Sister-in-law, you're so good to me. Better than my own sister. I bought her a handbag worth over 100,000 then. Thinking about it now, it's laughable. Dr. Chun rushed frantically into the nurse's station, searching for emergency equipment. But the cabinets were empty. Not even basic items like hemostats or gauze. Medicine? Hemostatic drugs. Uterotonics. A nurse whispered. All sent to the 3rd floor. Mr. Lin ordered all resources to prioritize Ms. Suwon first. Dr. Chun punched the cabinet in frustration. He looked at me with red-rimmed eyes, his lips trembling. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Lin. I can't do anything. Lin Shi walked over and patted his shoulder. Dr. Chun, don't panic. Sister-in-law hasn't given birth yet, has she? Once Suwon is done upstairs, the equipment will be brought down. She glanced at my belly and added, even if it does come out, it's just a girl. If it's lost, it's lost. The Lin family doesn't lack this one. I stared intently at her. At this person I had cherished like a sister for 3 years. Then with the last of my strength I forced out 2 words. Animals. Lin Shi's face darkened. She bent down, leaned close to my ear, her voice very low. Curse away, do whatever you want. Anyway, after you give birth you'll be weak. I have plenty of ways to shut you up. Then, the position of young madam of the Lin family will belong to Suwon. As for you. She straightened up, her smile radiant. Out of respect for my brother, I'll spare your life. You can be a maid. Dr. Chun couldn't bear it anymore. Miss Lin. This is murder. Murder. Lin Shi scoffed. Dr. Chun, watch your words. A mother dying from complications during childbirth is pretty normal. Isn't it? Besides, this is Lin family business. You're an outsider. What right do you have to interfere? With that, she waved to the bodyguards. Take Dr. Chun to rest. I'll take care of my sister-in-law personally. 2 bodyguards stepped forward, grabbed Dr. Chun and dragged him away. Dr. Chun struggled, shouting, Mrs. Lin, press on the acupoints. Sanyinjio. Higu. They can stimulate contractions. Don't give up. The baby can still be saved. His voice faded into the distance. Lin Shi closed the nurse's station door, turned and looked at me. She pulled out her phone and made a video call. Brother, sister-in-law is about to give birth. Want to see? On the screen appeared Lin Chen's face. He was outside the delivery room with busy medical staff in the background. Qingcheng, don't make a scene. Suwon's situation isn't good. The fetal heartbeat is dropping. Lin Shi turned the camera towards me. Look, sister-in-law is bleeding so much. Is she dying too? Lin Chen frowned, glanced briefly, then quickly looked away. Tell her to wait. Once Suwon has given birth, the doctors will come down. Chingcheng, you take care of her first. I'm busy here. The video ended. Lin Shi shrugged and put her phone away. Hear that? In my brother's heart, Suwon comes first. You're just a tool for breeding. Once the tool is used up, it's time to throw it away. I closed my eyes and stopped looking at her. My hand quietly moved behind my back, feeling the lining of my skirt. Sewn inside was a button-sized device. My father gave it to me. He said, Chingcheng, the Lin family is complicated. If anything happens, press this. I laughed at him then for overthinking. Dad, Lin Chen is good to me. The whole Lin family is good to me. Thinking about it now, I was so naive. Using my fingernail, I pried open the device's protective cover. Gently pressed down. No sound, no light. But I knew the signal had been sent. My father said, once you press this, someone will definitely come within half an hour. But half an hour? Could my baby wait that long? Consciousness faded more and more. Lin Shi sat on a chair playing with her phone, occasionally glancing up at me, her eyes like those observing a lab animal. Sister-in-law, what were you thinking marrying into the family anyway? For my brother's looks? For the Lin family's money? But think about it, a girl from an ordinary family, how did you ever qualify to enter the Lin family's door? I didn't speak, just kept pressing on the acupoints Dr. Chan mentioned. Sanyinjio Higer. Pressing hard. Even if hope was slim. Lin Shi continued. If your belly hadn't been lucky, gotten pregnant so early, my brother wouldn't have married you at all. The original plan was for you to have a son, at least be somewhat useful. But the ultrasound showed a girl, and Grandpa's face darkened instantly. Good thing Suwon is having a boy, otherwise the Lin generation would have been cut off. She stood up, walked over and kicked my leg. So you see, people need self-awareness. Don't force things that aren't meant for you. Once Suwon gives birth, just sign the divorce papers, take the money and leave. Later you can still find an ordinary guy to marry. Much better. I opened my eyes and looked at her. Does Lin Chan know you talk to me like this? Lin Shi laughed. Of course he knows. He's the one who asked me to come and persuade you. He said you're stubborn, afraid you might not see reason. Told me to counsel you properly. I twitched the corner of my mouth. Wanted to smile but couldn't. Another sharp pain in my abdomen. More violent than before. The drugs had completely worn off. The baby was coming. Ah! I couldn't help but cry out. Lin Shi stepped back, frowning. So troublesome. She opened the door and shouted outside. Someone, come see if she's about to give birth. A nurse timidly entered, took one look and went pale. Cervix is fully dilated. The head is visible. But there's too much bleeding. Delivery must happen immediately. Lin Shi was impatient. Then deliver. The nurse was almost crying. No equipment, no medicine. Delivering like this is dangerous for both mother and baby. Then let it be dangerous, Lin Shi said coldly. They're probably going to die anyway. Why care about that? Lin Shi finished instructing and went to find Lin Chan, completely indifferent to my fate. The nurse didn't dare speak. She could only squat down and try to manually dilate me. But I had no strength left to push. Too much blood loss. My energy was spent. The baby was stuck, neither coming out nor going back in. Time passed minute by minute. Each second was agony, until suddenly hurried footsteps echoed in the corridor. Many people. The sound of booted feet striking the ground. Perfectly synchronized. The nurse's face changed. Who? The door was kicked open. A group of men in black tactical gear burst in, all armed. The leading man took off his helmet, revealing a sharply defined face. The moment he saw me, his eyes reddened. Miss! I opened my mouth but no sound came out. I could only reach out my hand towards him. The nurse screamed in panic. Who are you? How did you get in? Security! Security! The man didn't even glance at her. He rushed directly to me and knelt on one knee. Your subordinate arrives late. Please forgive me, miss. He lifted me into his arms and ordered those behind him. Clear the area. Prepare emergency treatment. Yes. The men in black moved swiftly. The nurse tried to run in the chaos, but was pinned to the ground immediately. She struggled and shouted, How dare you touch me? This is the Lin family hospital. The man turned back and looked at her. His gaze was cold as ice. The Lin family? Soon there won't be any Lin family. I was carried into a modified medical vehicle. The vehicle was fully equipped, like a mobile operating room. Doctors and nurses were already on standby and immediately began resuscitation. Blood pressure 60/40. Hemorrhagic shock. Fetal distress. Emergency C-section needed. But the mother's condition is too critical. Surgery is risky. Do it. The man who carried me in roared. I'll take responsibility for any outcome. I grabbed his hand, using my last bit of strength. Save the baby. Save the baby first. He held my hand tightly, his voice trembling. Miss, don't talk. Conserve your energy. The master is already on his way. He'll be here soon. You and the baby will both be fine. I promise. Before he finished, the monitor suddenly emitted a piercing alarm. Heart stopped. Quick. Defibrillator. Fetal heartbeat is also dropping. Prepare for C-section. Immediately. I was quickly strapped down, an anesthesia mask placed over my face. Before losing consciousness, the last thing I heard was the doctor shouting. No time. The baby's heart has stopped. Darkness, endless darkness. I don't know how long it lasted. I opened my eyes. Above me was an unfamiliar ceiling. The air smelled of disinfectant. Miss is awake. Someone shouted joyfully. Several faces leaned in, all familiar. My father's personal bodyguards, uncles who had watched me grow up. The baby? I asked. My voice was hoarse, unlike me. The room fell silent instantly. After a few seconds, the man standing at the foot of the bed slowly turned around. It was my father. A man in his 50s, his hair had turned white overnight. He walked over, sat on the edge of the bed and took my hand. Ching Chung. He said only those 2 words before his voice choked up. Looking at his reddened eyes, I already knew the answer. Gone, isn't it? Father nodded, tears falling. Massive hemorrhage, placental abruption. The baby was deprived of oxygen for too long. The doctors did their best. I closed my eyes. Didn't cry, didn't scream. Just felt an emptiness inside. That little life that had been in my belly for 9 months. Kicking me every day, whispering secrets with me. Gone. Where is Lin Chuan? I asked. Father wiped away his tears, his gaze turning cold. With Su Wan. She gave birth. It's a son. The whole Lin family is celebrating. No one remembered you. I laughed. Laughed until my whole body shook. Good. Very good. Father gripped my hand tightly. Ching Chung, come home with Dad. The Lin family isn't worthy. That man even less so. I opened my eyes and looked at him. Dad, there's something I want to do. Tell me. Get me a fake corpse. Identical to me, just after childbirth, appearing to have died from excessive blood loss. Father was stunned. You want to? I want them to think I'm dead. Then I want to watch with my own eyes how they celebrate. How they joyfully welcome a new life while I lie dead. Father was silent for a long time, then nodded. All right. Dad will help you. The fake corpse was very realistic. Silicone skin, filled with blood bags, body temperature simulated. Placed in the freezer of the morgue, almost indistinguishable from the real thing. I sat in the monitoring room watching the screen. Father sat beside me holding my hand. Do you regret it? He asked. Regret what? Marrying him. I thought for a moment, then shook my head. No regrets. At least it showed me people's true hearts. On the screen, Lin Chen finally emerged from the delivery room. He was holding a swaddled baby, his face filled with the joy of first-time fatherhood. Su Wan lay on a mobile bed, pushed out, pale but smiling brightly. Old Master Lin, leaning on his cane, tremblingly walked over, looked at the child, and tears streamed down his aged face. A grandson. I finally have a grandson. The Lin family has an heir. The crowd surrounded the child, laughing and talking happily. No one asked about me. No one remembered that another woman, another mother, was still fighting for her life on the brink of death. Until a nurse quietly said, Mr. Lin, regarding your wife. Lin Chen seemed to suddenly remember. He frowned. How is she? No word yet. Dr. Chun is with her. I'll go check. He handed the child to the maternity matron and walked downstairs. Lin Shi followed. Brother, I'll come with you. They entered the elevator one after the other. The surveillance switched to the first floor. Dr. Chan stood at the door of the empty operating room, his back against the wall, his face ghastly pale. Seeing Lin Chan, he straightened up abruptly. Mr. Lin, where's my wife? Dr. Chan opened his mouth but couldn't speak. He just turned sideways, pointing towards the morgue. Lin Chen's face changed. What do you mean? Mrs. Lin. Dr. Chan lowered his head. Massive hemorrhage. Resuscitation failed. The baby couldn't be saved either. The air froze. Lin Chan stood rooted to the spot, as if he hadn't understood. Lin Shi reacted first. Impossible. She was fine just now. Dr. Chan smiled bitterly. She was already failing just now. Too much blood loss. No equipment, no medicine. I tried every method but... He covered his face, squatting down. I'm sorry. I really did my best. Lin Chan grabbed him by the collar. What did you say? My wife is dead? Dr. Chan nodded, tears falling. Lin Chan released his grip, stumbled back 2 steps and hit the wall. Impossible. She was so healthy. How could she? Lin Shi grabbed him. Brother, don't panic first. I'll go check. She walked quickly towards the morgue. On the surveillance screen, she pulled open the freezer drawer and saw the corpse inside. The silicone face still held the pained expression of childbirth. The white cloth beneath it was soaked through with blood. Lin Shi looked for a few seconds, then suddenly covered her mouth, turned and rushed out. Brother, it's true. Lin Chen rushed in. The surveillance camera captured him standing motionless in front of the freezer drawer. For so long that even Lin Shi got scared. She went in to pull him. Brother! Lin Chen suddenly raised his hand and punched the wall hard. Why? Why didn't you tell me sooner? Why didn't you wait for me to come? Dr. Chan stood outside the door, speaking quietly. Your phone was turned off. The delivery room doesn't allow phones. Lin Chen spun around, his eyes bloodshot. Then couldn't you have come up to find me? It's just from the 3rd floor to the 1st. How long would that take? And you just watched her die. Dr. Chan fell silent, just lowered his head, his shoulders trembling. Lin Shi tried to soothe him. Brother, don't blame Dr. Chan. I told him not to go up. Su Wan's condition was critical. I was afraid of disturbing her. Slap. A sharp slap. Lin Shi's head snapped to the side. She clutched her face, staring at Lin Chan in disbelief. Brother, you hit me? Lin Chan stared at her, enunciating each word. You were the one who locked her in the basement? Lin Shi's eyes darted away. I just told her to wait. Wait my ass. Lin Chan roared furiously. She was your sister-in-law. 2 lives were at stake. I told you to look after her, and this is how you did it. Lin Shi cried. I did it for the Lin family too. Su Wan had a son, she had a daughter. Don't you know which is more important? Grandpa said the boy is the heir. Lin Chan seemed struck by these words. He froze, the anger on his face slowly fading, replaced by a hollow blankness. The heir. So, her life doesn't matter? No one answered. Only the hum of the freezer motor and muffled sobs filled the morgue. Lin Chen brought my body back to the Lin family home. Not into the main residence, but to a morning hall set up in a side courtyard. Su Wan and the child moved into the master bedroom, surrounded by maternity matrons and maids. The old master decreed, keep the funeral simple. Don't let it disturb the child. For her, just pick a day for cremation. She was a Lin daughter-in-law after all. Choose a decent cemetery plot. Lin Chen said nothing. He just sat in the morning hall, guarding the coffin. 3 days and 3 nights without eating or drinking. Lin Shi came to persuade him, but was driven away. Su Wan came once, holding the child, speaking softly. Chan, accept it and move on. Sister spirit in heaven wouldn't want to see you like this either. Lin Chen looked up at her. Looked for a long time, then asked, do you know what she was thinking when she was dying? Su Wan was startled. I was giving birth. I don't know. She was thinking, why wasn't her husband by her side? Why was everyone waiting for you to give birth, but no one cared whether she lived or died? Su Wan's face paled. Chan, what do you mean by that? I went through hell giving birth too. The fetal heartbeat dropped several times. Yes, you suffered, Lin Chun interrupted her. But she died. 2 lives lost. Just because the baby wasn't a boy, was she supposed to die? Suwon was silent. Her arms tightened around the child. Lin Chun stood up, walked to the coffin and gently stroked the lid. These past few days I keep thinking if I had been there with her, would things be different? If I hadn't transferred all the equipment to you, would she have survived? If only. His voice choked, unable to continue. Suwon bit her lip, turned and left. Before going out she threw back a parting shot. Lin Chun, don't forget, I'm the one who gave birth to a son now. That dead woman is useless now. The morning hall door closed. Lin Chun slid down, leaning against the coffin, his hands covering his face. On the surveillance screen I could see his shoulders shaking. How ridiculous. When a person is alive you don't cherish them. Only when they're dead do you come to mourn. I sent a message to my father. Can we start now? Father replied. Anytime. The Lin family business began to have problems. First, a longtime supplier suddenly cut off deliveries, citing product quality not up to standard. Lin Chun sent people to investigate. The company refused to see them. Then the banks called in loans. A promised contract renewal was suddenly rejected due to risk control failure. The cash flow tightened instantly. Then clients started leaving. Several big orders were inexplicably cancelled and signed with competitors instead. Within a month, the Lin family's market value shrank by 30%. The old master was so stressed he was hospitalized. Lin Chun ran between the company and the hospital daily, exhausted and frantic. Suwon, holding the child, complained, "Why are you always running out? You don't even care about the child anymore. Dad's sick. The company's in trouble. Can I just ignore it? So what if the company fails? We still have money, enough for several lifetimes." Lin Chun looked at her, his gaze unfamiliar. Do you know how the Lin family rose? Through 3 generations of hard work by my grandfather, my father, and my brother. It wasn't just handed to us on a platter. Suwon pouted. Well, you can't just abandon us, mother and child. The baby isn't even a month old yet, and you're gone all the time. Lin Chun slammed the door and left, heading back to the morning hall. The coffin was still there, not yet buried because a suitable plot hadn't been chosen. He leaned against the coffin and muttered to himself, Chingcheng, if you were here, what advice would you give me? You'd probably say, don't panic, take it slow. You were always so calm, so smart. He pulled a cigarette from his pocket and lit it. Through the swirling smoke, his voice dropped low. But I have no one to talk to anymore. Dad only knows how to scold me. Suwon only knows how to ask for money. Chingcheng only cares about herself. You were the only one who never asked for anything, who always wanted to help me. He took a drag and coughed until tears came out. I'm sorry. Truly I'm sorry. I never thought it would come to this. If I could do it all over again, I definitely would. Before he could finish, his phone rang. It was his assistant. Voice panicked. Mr. Lin. Something terrible happened. Customs has seized a shipment of ours. They say it's contraband. The quantity is large. They might file a case. Lin Chun shot up. Contraband? Impossible. We do legitimate trade. It's true. The police are already at the company. They want to question you. Lin Chun hung up and rushed out of the morning hall. Driving towards the company, he received another call. An unfamiliar number. He answered. A man's voice, cold and Chun. Mr. Lin, did you receive the gift? Lin Chun frowned. Who are you? You don't need to know who I am. All you need to know is this is just the beginning. The debt you owe the entire Lin family will have to pay back. The line went dead. Lin Chun tried calling back. The number was no longer in service. His hands gripping the steering wheel began to shake. The police investigation lasted half a month. It finally concluded with insufficient evidence. But the goods were confiscated, a loss of over 10 million. The Lin family's reputation plummeted. Partners terminated contracts left and right. The stock price hit rock bottom. The old master, enraged, suffered a second stroke. This time he didn't recover. Before he died, he grabbed Lin Chen's hand and said haltingly, "Protect the Lin family. The child is the heir." Then he breathed his last. The funeral was simple. Few guests attended. Most came to gawk. Suwon stood before the spirit tablet, holding the child, crying pitifully. Hard to tell if she was crying for the old master, or for herself, having lost her protector. Lin Chun remained expressionless throughout. Only after the funeral ended and the guests had dispersed did he say to Suwon, "You should move out." Suwon was stunned. "What? Take the child and move out of the Lin family home. I'll give you money, enough for the rest of your lives." Suwon shrieked. "Lin Chun, what do you mean by that? I'm your elder brother's wife. This child is your elder brother's posthumous son. The old master said he's the heir." Lin Chun laughed a mocking laugh. "The heir? The Lin family is almost finished. What's there to inherit? Debts." Suwon stepped back. "You're just abandoning us?" "Abandoning," Lin Chun said. "Giving you money is my responsibility. But the Lin family ancestral home I'm keeping. This place holds memories of Chingcheng and me. I can't give it to anyone else." Suwon stared at him, then suddenly laughed too. "Memories? Lin Chun, stop fooling yourself. You never loved that woman. You're just guilty. Because she died horribly, your conscience bothers you. If she were still alive, you'd have kicked her out long ago and married me." Lin Chun's face darkened. "Shut up. Why should I?" Suwon was beyond caring. "When you married her, wasn't it just because her family background was clean and easy to control? You said yourself once she had the baby, you'd find a reason to divorce her. Now she's dead. Saves you the trouble. You should thank me, thank my son for killing her." Slap. Another slap. Harder than the one he gave Lin Shi. Suwon was knocked to the floor. The child, frightened, wailed loudly. Lin Chun looked down at her, his gaze cold as ice. "Get out. Now. Immediately. If I see you again, you won't get a single cent." Suwon scrambled up, clutching the child, glaring at him venomously. "You'll regret this." Suwon left, taking the child and a check for 50 million. Lin Chun stood in the empty morning hall, looking at the old master's portrait. Suddenly felt very tired. So tired he couldn't stand and sank to his knees. "Dad, I can't hold on anymore. The Lin family is going to be destroyed because of me." No answer. Only the wind blowing through, rustling the white funeral cloth. "I sat in a villa in Italy, watching the surveillance feed. Father walked in and handed me a document. Lin Corporation. Market value remaining 3 billion. Debts 5 billion. Bankruptcy liquidation is just a matter of days now." I took the document and flipped through it. Faster than I expected. Father sat down and sighed. "Chingcheng, do you really want to watch him crash and burn? What else?" I looked up. "Dad, do you think I should forgive him?" Father shook his head. "No, he deserves what's coming. I'm just afraid you'll get stuck in this, unable to move on." I closed the file and smiled.